Everyone, I just want to say a few words about why I created this investing program. It was developed over a number of years, from the time when, before I had a hedge fund, before I had a private equity fund, when I was a private investor. And I had a lot of people asking me, well, what do you think about this stock or that? And the reason for that is because I'd come to some prominence. I had a column in the Financial Times talking about investing, my own show on Bloomberg TV talking about investing, and that was on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for 3 years doing that show. And then I thought, well, look, with all this profile, I should set up a hedge fund. If I'm any good at investing, I should get institutional funds. Actually, it was institutions who approached me because I won a competition in the Financial Times to forecast the markets over a 12-month period, beating everybody, including people like Neil Woodford, who we've subsequently seen not do too well, let's put it that way. So I got fed up with the fact that private investors couldn't access the kind of institutional information that I have access to, the kind of reports I see from the Goldman Sachses of the world. And given that it was my job on the TV show, both and also as an institutional investor within the fund, to digest this information and provide it to investors, private investors, in a digestible, easy format. And given that's what I was doing in my weekly Financial Times column as well as my TV show, I thought, well, wait a minute, why not create this into a program that private investors can benefit from? The kind of program where, well, if I was doing it, I'd want to make sure I got at least a tenfold return on my investment. And so that's the aim of it. My job is to, through the program, and I don't call it a course, it's a program because it's living, it's live, there's daily updates, we've got Telegram channels, we've got WhatsApp access to me. We've also got updates from reports we're getting from the biggest banks that I translate to you. I don't just dump them at you. I translate them and I say, this is what I like. I even show the insights into what's in my young son's pension and my pension as well. When I say my son's pension, it's actually his ISA and junior pension as well. And we've got audiences now from around the world. We've got largely people from the UK and America, but I've got people from Australia, India, Singapore, Hong Kong, all over the place, because everybody wants to learn how to invest from somebody who's got a proven track record as well. And how best to prove a track record? Well, other than publicly winning competitions like that in the FT, other than publicly on news shows like the BBC, giving my views for the last 20 years and then being followed up on them and on Bloomberg and on CNBC for 20 odd years, and having international bestsellers published again by reputable names like the Financial Times. That's one way to have a public profile and a track record which is followed and digested and x-rayed. And in the words of one famous songwriter, I'm still standing. In fact, standing very well after all those years, developing that reputation, which I want to use on your side now, your side of the table. So we're both working together to achieve your goals on what you want to achieve. So pass all that knowledge to you. Maybe your children can benefit from it as well, my networks as well. But also you'll see through the program all the kinds of investment picks that I think are worth following, and what the biggest banks are telling their wealthiest clients. So there isn't this rich-poor divide in information that we have at the moment, where funds like mine get access to this data, but regular private investors don't. But not only that, I was born without a silver spoon in my mouth. I started investing when I was 12 years old with £100 borrowed from my aunt, because I wanted to try and do my bit for the family. Little did I realize at the age of 12 that £100 wasn't going to get me very far. So one of the reasons that I want to sort of be the Robin Hood of information and knowledge when it comes to investing, and taking that data and information from the rich and giving it to the masses, is because I couldn't do it when I was starting out. And if you follow any of my books, you'll know that this story has been published, like I said, by the Financial Times, by Palgrave Macmillan, and so on. And I want you to be part of this learning success journey as well for investing. And like I said, my aim is I want people who join me on this, that they find it more than pays for itself, but should give them a far significant return than the cost of any program does in translating into returns for their investments. That's my job. Very simple job in many regards, given my expertise, given the credentials that I've spoken about. And if you want to check me out, have a look on LinkedIn. You'll see the various details of the various industry leaders who've endorsed me as well. And those endorsements are a lot harder to get than from members of the public, of which we have hundreds, saying, wow, this is wonderful, great what you're doing. That's easy from members of the public. And if I may say so, they're a little bit easier to impress on members of the public. But when you get it from industry leaders saying, yes, this is a global authority on online investing, that's different. And so another reason I got into all of this was because I was sick and tired of seeing the dross out there. I've yet to meet somebody in the field of investing who is communicating with the private investor and knows what they're talking about. Hasn't happened yet. If you happen to come across somebody who knows what they're talking about, let me know. I haven't met them yet. Okay. And the reason you can tell very often they don't know what they're talking about, because if they were any good at it, they'd be the CEO of their own asset management company. They'd be running a fund as I do. They would be being chased by newspapers to publish columns about what they're doing, books, TV shows. But doesn't happen because the quality is lacking out there. My God, it's lacking in the fund managers, let alone in the so-called educators, and let alone in the private investors who have to suffer as a result. So I hope you'll come on board and we start making returns for you. Thank you very much.